21 Black R&B legends who tragically died of AIDS. What if some of the biggest names in music were hiding a devastating secret while standing at the peak of fame? Behind the hit songs, standing ovations and flashing cameras were battles that few fans ever saw. HIV/AIDS changed countless lives, and some beloved artists faced the disease during a time of fear, misunderstanding, and stigma. Their stories are heartbreaking, inspiring, and impossible to ignore. In today's video, we'll uncover the lives, struggles, and legacies of 21 music legends whose journeys ended far too soon. Which story will impact you the most? Watch until the end, then share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support Golden Black Legends. Bobby DeBarge. Bobby DeBarge's story is one of extraordinary talent, immense promise, and heartbreaking loss. As the lead singer of Switch, Bobby possessed one of the most recognizable falsettos in late 1970s R&B. His smooth, emotional vocals helped drive hits such as There'll Never Be, and established him as a rising star in an era filled with musical giants. Beyond his own success, Bobby played a crucial role in inspiring and mentoring his younger siblings, who would later become the famous DeBarge family group. To many fans, he seemed destined for a legendary career that would last for decades. Yet behind the success was a life marked by personal struggles. The pressures of fame, combined with substance abuse, gradually began to overshadow his remarkable gifts. Throughout the 1980s, Bobby battled addiction, and those challenges affected both his career and his health. While the music world continued to evolve, he found himself increasingly trapped by circumstances that became difficult to escape. His legal troubles and imprisonment further complicated an already painful chapter of his life. Following his release from prison, Bobby learned that he was HIV positive. During that era, HIV and AIDS carried enormous fear and misunderstanding. Many people kept their diagnoses private because of the stigma attached to the disease. As Bobby's condition progressed, his immune system weakened dramatically, leaving him vulnerable to serious infections and illnesses. Family members watched with sadness as the energetic performer they once knew became physically frail. On August 16, 1995, Bobby DeBarge passed away at the age of 39 due to complications related to AIDS. His death marked the loss of one of R&B's most gifted voices. Although his life was filled with hardships, his musical contributions continue to resonate with listeners decades later. Today, Bobby's legacy survives through the songs he recorded, the influence he had on the DeBarge family, and the lasting impact he made on R&B history. His story remains a powerful reminder that behind fame and success, even the brightest stars can face deeply personal battles. Sylvester. Sylvester was far more than a disco star. He was a pioneer who challenged conventions, inspired generations, and helped redefine what it meant to be an artist. Born Sylvester James Jr., he began singing in church before discovering his place within San Francisco's vibrant music scene. During the 1970s, he emerged as one of the most distinctive voices in popular music, combining gospel influences, disco rhythms, and a breathtaking falsetto that instantly set him apart from everyone else. His signature hit, You Make Me Feel Mighty Real, became an anthem that continues to fill dance floors decades after its release. What made Sylvester truly remarkable was his fearless authenticity. At a time when many entertainers felt pressured to hide aspects of their identity, he embraced individuality and self-expression. His bold, fashion electrifying performances and unapologetic confidence transformed him into both a musical icon and a cultural trailblazer. Fans admired not only his talent, but also his courage to be himself in an industry that was often unforgiving toward those who challenged traditional expectations. As the HIV/AIDS epidemic spread across America during the 1980s, countless lives were affected. Sylvester was among the many artists confronted by the devastating disease. In 1987, he publicly acknowledged that he had AIDS, becoming one of the first major entertainers to speak openly about the illness. His willingness to do so helped raise awareness during a period when misinformation and fear were widespread. Rather than retreat from public life, he used his platform to encourage compassion, education, and support for those living with HIV/AIDS. On December 16, 1988, Sylvester passed away at the age of 41 due to AIDS-related complications. Yet his influence did not end with his death. He left a portion of his estate to organizations dedicated to AIDS education and prevention, ensuring that his voice would continue making a difference. Today, Sylvester is remembered not only as the Queen of Disco, but also as a symbol of courage, resilience, and artistic freedom. His music still inspires millions, and his legacy remains one of the most enduring in entertainment history. Kenny Green. Kenny Green was one of the brightest creative forces in 1990s R&B. Even if his name was not always as recognizable as the stars who performed his songs, as the founder and lead singer of Intro Kenny helped shape the smooth, soulful sound that defined an era. His group gained success with hits such as Come Inside and Ribbon in the Sky. But his influence stretched even further behind the scenes. As a songwriter and producer, he contributed to projects for major artists, including helping write Mary J. Blige's breakthrough hit, Love No Limit. To many within the industry, Kenny was viewed as a gifted visionary whose best years were still ahead of him. While his music career flourished, Kenny lived during a period when HIV/AIDS remained one of the most feared diseases in America. Public understanding was improving compared to the 1980s, but stigma still surrounded those who were diagnosed. As the decade progressed, friends and colleagues noticed changes in his appearance and health. Rumors circulated, but Kenny largely kept his personal struggles private, focusing instead on his music and creative work. By the late 1990s, his condition had become increasingly serious. HIV had weakened his immune system, making him vulnerable to illnesses that a healthy body could normally fight off. Despite medical treatment, his health continued to decline. Those closest to him watched as a man known for his energy, creativity, and passion faced a battle that became more difficult with each passing year. On October 1, 2001, Kenny Green passed away at the age of 36 from complications related to AIDS. His death shocked many fans who had grown up listening to Intro's music. Though his life was cut tragically short, his influence remains woven into the history of modern R&B. His songs continue to be celebrated, and his work helped define the sound of a generation. Kenny Green's story is a reminder that behind unforgettable music are often deeply personal struggles hidden from public view. Billy Preston. Billy Preston's journey through music was nothing short of extraordinary. Long before becoming a solo star, he was already performing alongside some of the biggest names in entertainment. A gifted keyboard player, singer, and songwriter, Preston earned the nickname the Fifth Beatle because of his close association with the Beatles during the late 1960s. Throughout his remarkable career, he worked with legends including Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, Eric Clapton, and the Rolling Stones. His own hits such as Nothing from Nothing and Will It Go Round in Circles showcased a unique blend of soul, gospel, funk, and R&B that captivated audiences worldwide. Unlike many artists who enjoyed brief moments of fame, Billy remained influential across several decades. His musical talent was undeniable, and fellow musicians often praised his ability to bring warmth and emotion to every performance. Yet behind the applause and acclaim, he faced significant personal challenges. Legal issues, financial difficulties, and health problems complicated his later years, creating obstacles that sometimes overshadowed his extraordinary achievements. In the 1990s and early 2000s, Preston's health began to deteriorate. He publicly acknowledged living with HIV, becoming one of several prominent musicians affected by the epidemic. Advances in medical treatment helped many people live longer with HIV, but the virus could still contribute to serious health complications. Over time, Preston also battled kidney disease and other medical issues that placed increasing strain on his body. In November 2005, he suffered respiratory failure and fell into a coma. After months of hospitalization, Billy Preston passed away on June 6, 2006 at the age of 59. While the immediate cause of death was related to kidney failure and other complications, his long struggle with HIV was widely reported as part of his health history. Today, Billy Preston remains one of the most respected musicians of his generation. His keyboard work helped shape countless classic recordings, and his influence can still be heard across soul, gospel, rock, and R&B music. His legacy stands as a testament to talent, perseverance, and an enduring love for music. Jermaine Stewart. Jermaine Stewart brought a unique charm to the music world during the 1980s. With his stylish image, infectious energy, and unmistakable voice, he became one of the decade's most memorable performers. His biggest hit, "We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off," reached audiences around the world and offered a refreshing message that stood apart from many of the trends dominating popular music at the time. The song's success transformed Stewart into an international star and established him as a distinctive figure in R&B and pop. Born in Ohio and raised in Chicago, Stewart began his career as a dancer before transitioning into music. His natural stage presence and charisma helped him stand out in a highly competitive industry. Throughout the mid-1980s, he released several successful singles and albums, earning admiration from fans who appreciated both his talent and individuality. However, as musical tastes shifted in the late 1980s and early 1990s, commercial success became more difficult to maintain. Behind the scenes, Stewart faced a personal battle that he chose largely to keep private. During an era when HIV/AIDS still carried tremendous stigma, many public figures feared the consequences of discussing their diagnosis openly. As his health gradually declined, he stepped away from the spotlight and spent increasing amounts of time away from public attention. In the mid-1990s, his condition worsened significantly. Medical complications linked to HIV weakened his body and eventually led to severe liver disease. Despite the challenges he faced, Stewart remained respected by friends, colleagues, and devoted fans who admired his artistry and resilience. On March 17, 1997, Jermaine Stewart passed away at the age of 39. His death was later reported to be related to complications associated with AIDS and liver cancer. Though his career was relatively brief, the impact of his music continues to endure. Decades later, "We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off" remains a beloved classic, introducing new generations to a performer whose talent and spirit left a lasting mark on music history. David Cole. David Cole was one of the most influential music producers of the early 1990s, even though many casual listeners never saw his face. As the creative force behind C+C Music Factory alongside Robert Clivillés, Cole helped define an era of dance, pop, and R&B music. His production style blended infectious rhythms, powerful vocals, and club-ready energy that dominated radio stations around the world. Hits such as "Gonna Make You Sweat," "Everybody Dance Now" became global sensations, turning C+C Music Factory into one of the most successful music acts of the decade. Unlike many performers who stood in front of the spotlight, Cole often worked behind the scenes. His talent for arranging music, crafting memorable hooks, and recognizing star potential made him highly respected throughout the industry. Artists sought his expertise because he understood how to create songs that connected with audiences across multiple genres. During a relatively short career, he earned Grammy Awards, and helped shape the sound of popular music at a time when dance and urban music were exploding worldwide. Yet while his professional life appeared successful, Cole was privately battling serious health issues. During the early 1990s, HIV/AIDS continued to affect thousands of people, and many individuals chose not to discuss their diagnoses publicly due to fear and stigma. Cole remained largely private about his condition, while continuing to work on music projects and support the careers of other artists. As his illness progressed, his health gradually declined. Despite medical treatment, complications associated with AIDS became increasingly difficult to overcome. On January 24, 1995, David Cole passed away at the age of 32. His death shocked the music community particularly because many fans were unaware of his struggle. Although his life ended far too soon, David Cole's impact remains undeniable. The songs he helped create continue to fill dance floors decades later. His work influenced countless producers who followed, ensuring that his legacy would survive long after the music industry lost one of its most gifted creative minds. Eazy-E. Few figures transformed hip-hop as dramatically as Eazy-E. Born Eric Wright, he rose from the streets of Compton to become one of the most recognizable voices in rap history. As a founding member of NWA, he helped launch a movement that changed music forever. Songs such as Boys in the Hood and Straight Outta Compton gave a voice to experiences rarely heard in mainstream entertainment, turning Eazy-E into a cultural icon and a symbol of West Coast hip-hop. What made Eazy-E unique was his ability to combine raw authenticity with sharp business instincts. Through Ruthless Records, he helped introduce artists who would become legends in their own right. His influence extended beyond performing, shaping the future of rap as both an artist and entrepreneur. By the early 1990s, he had achieved enormous success and remained one of the most important figures in the music industry. Then came a shocking turn that no one expected. In February 1995, Eazy-E was admitted to a Los Angeles hospital, suffering from severe respiratory problems. Initially believed to be pneumonia, doctors soon discovered a far more devastating diagnosis. He was HIV positive and had developed AIDS. The revelation stunned fans and fellow artists alike. At a time when many public figures avoided discussing the disease, Eazy-E chose to address it openly. In a public statement released shortly before his death, he urged people to learn from his experience and educate themselves about HIV/AIDS. His message reached millions and helped raise awareness among younger audiences who may not have considered themselves at risk. Just weeks after revealing his diagnosis, Eazy-E passed away on March 26, 1995, at the age of 30. The speed of his decline shocked the world and remains one of the most tragic chapters in hip-hop history. Though his life was brief, his influence continues to shape rap music, and his final message about awareness and prevention remains relevant decades later. Fela Kuti. Fela Kuti was more than a musician. He was a revolutionary voice whose music challenged power, inspired resistance, and transformed African culture. Widely recognized as the creator of Afrobeat, Fela blended traditional African rhythms with jazz, funk, soul, and high-energy performance to create a sound unlike anything the world had heard before. Songs such as Zombie, Water No Get Enemy, and Sorrow, Tears and Blood established him as one of the most influential artists of the 20th century. Born in Nigeria, Fela used music as a platform for social commentary. His lyrics confronted corruption, injustice, and political oppression, often placing him in direct conflict with authorities. Despite arrests, intimidation, and repeated attacks on his compound, he refused to be silenced. To millions of supporters, he represented courage and resistance in the face of overwhelming pressure. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, Fela built an enormous following across Africa and beyond. His performances were legendary, combining powerful messages with electrifying musicianship. Yet while his public image remained strong, his health quietly deteriorated during the final years of his life. In the 1990s, rumors circulated about serious illness, but information remained limited. On August 2, 1997, Fela Kuti died at the age of 58. Following his death, his family publicly announced that he had died from complications related to AIDS. The revelation generated widespread discussion throughout Africa, where public awareness of HIV/AIDS was still developing. Even after his passing, Fela's influence never faded. His music continues to inspire artists around the globe, and Afrobeat remains one of the most important musical movements in modern history. More than 2 decades later, Fela Kuti is remembered not only for his extraordinary creativity, but also for his unwavering determination to speak truth through music. Keith Pringle. Keith Pringle was one of the most recognizable voices in contemporary gospel music during the 1970s and 1980s. Known for his powerful vocals, emotional performances, and deep spiritual conviction, he became a beloved figure among gospel audiences across the United States. Songs such as Perfect Peace and his work with major gospel choirs helped establish him as an influential artist whose ministry reached far beyond the walls of churches. Unlike many performers who pursued mainstream fame, Pringle focused on delivering messages of faith, hope, and perseverance. His recordings resonated with listeners because they reflected genuine passion and heartfelt worship. Throughout his career, he traveled extensively, sharing music that encouraged countless people during difficult moments in their lives. Behind the scenes, however, Pringle faced challenges that few fans fully understood. During the 1980s, HIV/AIDS was spreading rapidly, while misinformation and fear often prevented open discussion. Many individuals suffered in silence, worried about how society would react if their condition became known. As a result, numerous stories from that era remain difficult to verify in complete detail. Keith Pringle's health declined significantly during the late 1980s. Reports following his death linked his passing to complications associated with AIDS, although documentation from that period is not always as extensive as it is for some other public figures. What remains clear is that his death represented a tremendous loss for the gospel community and for those who admired his music. When Keith Pringle passed away in 1989 at the age of 52, gospel music lost one of its most passionate voices. Yet his recordings continue to inspire listeners decades later. His legacy lives on through the messages of faith and resilience embedded in his music, reminding audiences that even after an artist is gone, the power of their voice can continue touching hearts for generations. Thomas Whitfield. Thomas Whitfield was one of the most gifted innovators in modern gospel music. A talented singer, songwriter, pianist, arranger, and producer, he helped reshape the sound of gospel during the 1980s. His sophisticated musical arrangements blended traditional church influences with contemporary styles, creating a fresh sound that appealed to both older and younger audiences. Through albums such as Hold Me, the New Gospel Experience, and numerous recordings with the Thomas Whitfield Company, he became one of gospel music's most respected creative minds. Unlike many performers who focused solely on singing, Whitfield excelled behind the scenes. Choir directors and musicians admired his ability to craft complex harmonies while maintaining a deeply spiritual message. His compositions were celebrated for their emotional depth and musical excellence. Throughout the decade, his influence spread across churches nationwide, helping shape the direction of contemporary gospel music. As his reputation grew, so did expectations. Yet behind the applause, Whitfield began facing serious health challenges. During the late 1980s and early 1990s, speculation surrounded his condition, but he remained largely private about his personal struggles. Friends and colleagues noticed his declining health, though few understood the full extent of what he was enduring. On June 20, 1992, Thomas Whitfield passed away at only 38 years old. Following his death, reports linked his passing to complications associated with AIDS. His death stunned the gospel community, which lost one of its most innovative voices far too soon. Many fans struggled to accept that a man who had contributed so much to gospel music could be gone at such a young age. Today, Thomas Whitfield's influence remains unmistakable. His recordings continue to inspire choirs, musicians, and worship leaders around the world. More than 3 decades later, his work stands as a testament to extraordinary creativity, spiritual devotion, and a musical legacy that continues to resonate across generations. Melvin Lindsey. Melvin Lindsey changed radio forever. While he was not primarily known as a recording artist, his impact on R&B culture was enormous. As the creator of the legendary radio format known as The Quiet Storm, Lindsey introduced a smooth, romantic style of programming that became a staple of urban radio stations across America. His carefully selected blend of soulful ballads and intimate late-night music transformed listening habits and helped define R&B radio for decades. Born with a deep love for music, Lindsey possessed a remarkable ability to connect with audiences. His warm voice and understanding of soul music made listeners feel as though they were sharing a personal conversation with a trusted friend. Through radio station WHUR in Washington, D.C., he built a loyal following and influenced countless broadcasters who later adopted his innovative approach. As the popularity of The Quiet Storm expanded nationwide, Lindsey became one of the most respected figures in urban broadcasting. However, while his professional success continued, he privately battled serious health issues. During the late 1980s and early 1990s, HIV/AIDS remained one of the most devastating public health crises in the United States. Many people facing the disease chose to remain silent because of widespread misunderstanding and social stigma. As his condition worsened, Lindsey's health declined rapidly. Despite medical efforts, complications associated with AIDS became increasingly difficult to manage. On March 26, 1992, he passed away at the age of 36. His death was a tremendous loss, not only for radio, but also for the broader world of R&B music that he had helped promote and celebrate. Although decades have passed, Melvin Lindsey's legacy remains strong. Every time listeners hear a late-night R&B program designed to create a relaxed and intimate atmosphere, they are experiencing the influence of a format he pioneered. His contributions changed radio history and continue to shape how soul music is presented today. Patrick Cowley. Patrick Cowley emerged as one of the most visionary figures in electronic dance music long before the genre achieved worldwide popularity. A gifted composer, producer, and recording artist, he helped pioneer a futuristic sound that blended disco rhythms with synthesizer-driven experimentation. His groundbreaking recordings became highly influential within dance clubs, particularly in San Francisco, where his innovative approach helped redefine nightlife culture during the late 1970s and early 1980s. Cowley's partnership with disco icon Sylvester produced some of the most memorable dance records of the era. Together, they created energetic tracks that transformed clubs into vibrant celebrations of freedom and self-expression. Patrick's technical skill and creative imagination allowed him to push musical boundaries, introducing sounds that would later influence house techno and modern electronic music. While his professional accomplishments continued to grow, a new and mysterious illness was beginning to emerge. During the early 1980s, very little was understood about what would later become known as AIDS. Many of the earliest victims faced fear, confusion, and uncertainty as doctors struggled to understand the disease. In 1981, Cowley became seriously ill. As his condition worsened, he was forced to step away from the music scene that he loved. Friends and collaborators watched helplessly as his health rapidly deteriorated. On November 12, 1982, Patrick Cowley passed away at the age of 32, becoming one of the earliest well-known figures lost during the AIDS epidemic. Although his life was tragically short, his influence proved lasting. Decades later, electronic music producers continue to cite his work as a source of inspiration. His recordings remain celebrated for their originality and innovation. Patrick Cowley's story stands as both a reminder of the devastating early years of the AIDS crisis and a tribute to an artist whose creativity helped shape the future of dance music. Arthur Russell. Arthur Russell was one of the most unique and inventive musicians of the 20th century. Refusing to be confined to a single genre, he explored disco, folk, avant-garde composition, experimental music and pop with equal passion. His ability to move between different musical worlds made him a truly original artist, admired by fellow musicians even when mainstream audiences struggled to understand the depth of his creativity. Throughout the late 1970s and 1980s, Russell developed a reputation as a fearless innovator, whether performing with a cello, producing dance tracks, or composing experimental pieces. He consistently pushed artistic boundaries. His recordings often blended emotional vulnerability with musical sophistication, creating works that felt deeply personal and ahead of their time. Despite his remarkable talent, commercial success remained limited during his lifetime. Much of his work achieved broader recognition only after his death. Friends described him as intensely dedicated to his craft, constantly refining songs and searching for new ways to express himself through music. During the 1980s, Russell was diagnosed with HIV. As the disease progressed, he continued working whenever his health allowed, determined to create music despite increasingly difficult circumstances. Those close to him recalled his commitment to artistic expression even during periods of serious illness. On April 4, 1992, Arthur Russell passed away at the age of 40 due to complications related to AIDS. His death marked the loss of one of music's most imaginative minds. In the years that followed, his reputation grew dramatically as critics, musicians, and fans discovered the extraordinary body of work he left behind. Today, Arthur Russell is regarded as a visionary whose influence extends across multiple genres. His recordings continue to inspire artists worldwide, proving that true innovation often outlives the era in which it was created. Michael Callan. Michael Callan's legacy extends far beyond music. He was a singer-songwriter, author, activist, and one of the earliest public voices advocating for people living with HIV/AIDS. During a period marked by fear and misinformation, Callan courageously chose visibility, using his platform to educate others and challenge harmful stereotypes surrounding the disease. As a musician, he helped create songs that addressed love, hope, and survival. His performances often carried a deeply personal quality because they reflected experiences that many people affected by HIV/AIDS were living through at the time. Audiences connected with his honesty and his willingness to speak openly about issues that others avoided. Beyond his artistic contributions, Callan became a leading advocate for patient rights. He worked tirelessly to improve awareness and promote more compassionate treatment for individuals diagnosed with HIV. His activism helped influence public discussions during some of the most difficult years of the epidemic. Living with HIV while continuing a public career required extraordinary strength. As his health declined, Callan remained committed to both music and advocacy. He understood that his voice could help others facing similar challenges and refused to let illness silence him. On December 27, 1993, Michael Callan passed away at the age of 38 from AIDS-related complications. His death was deeply felt throughout activist communities and among those who had been inspired by his courage. Yet his influence did not disappear. Today, Michael Callan is remembered as a figure who combined creativity with compassion. His music writings and advocacy efforts continue to educate new generations about the human impact of the AIDS epidemic. More importantly, his life demonstrates how determination and empathy can leave a lasting mark, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. Ricky Wilson. Ricky Wilson was a pioneering musician whose creative vision helped shape one of the most distinctive bands of the late 1970s and early 1980s. As the original guitarist for the B-52s, he developed an unconventional playing style that gave the group its instantly recognizable sound. Rather than following traditional rock guitar techniques, Wilson experimented with alternate tunings and unusual chord structures, creating bright, quirky, and energetic melodies that became central to hits such as Rock Lobster, Planet Claire, and Private Idaho. His innovative approach helped transform the Athens, Georgia-based band into an international sensation. Unlike many guitar heroes who sought the spotlight, Wilson preferred to let his music speak for itself. Quiet and deeply creative, he focused on crafting unique sounds that pushed the boundaries of popular music. Fellow band members often described him as the artistic foundation of the group, a musician whose imagination seemed limitless. As the B-52s gained popularity, audiences were drawn not only to the band's eccentric style but also to the unmistakable guitar work that Ricky provided. During the early 1980s, however, Wilson faced a personal battle he kept largely private. HIV/AIDS was still poorly understood, and many individuals chose not to discuss their diagnosis publicly due to fear of discrimination. As his health gradually declined, Wilson continued contributing to the band's music while protecting his privacy. On October 12, 1985, Ricky Wilson passed away at just 32 years old from complications related to AIDS. His death devastated his family, friends, and bandmates who struggled to continue without one of their most important creative forces. At the time, many fans were unaware of the true cause of his passing. Today, Ricky Wilson is remembered as an innovative musician whose influence extends far beyond his years. His groundbreaking guitar techniques continue to inspire artists across multiple genres. Though his life was tragically short, his contributions helped create a musical legacy that remains vibrant decades later. Willie Ninja. Willie Ninja became a cultural icon by transforming an underground art form into a global phenomenon, often referred to as the godfather of voguing. He played a crucial role in bringing ballroom culture from New York City's underground scene to international attention. With extraordinary grace, precision, and charisma, Ninja elevated voguing into a respected form of artistic expression that would later influence fashion music videos and mainstream entertainment around the world. Born William Roscoe Leake, he discovered his passion for movement and performance at a young age. Through dedication and creativity, he became one of the most celebrated figures in ballroom competitions. His elegant style, sharp poses, and fluid transitions set new standards within the community. Beyond competition, he served as a mentor to younger performers, helping them find confidence and identity in a world that often marginalized them. The release of the documentary Paris is Burning introduced Willie Ninja to a broader audience and highlighted the culture he helped define. Suddenly, the ballroom scene gained visibility and Ninja became one of its most recognizable ambassadors. His influence extended into the fashion industry, where he worked with designers, models, and artists who admired his distinctive style and creative vision. Despite his success, Ninja faced significant health challenges later in life. Like many individuals affected by the HIV/AIDS epidemic, he endured a difficult struggle that remained largely private. As his condition worsened, he gradually stepped away from public appearances while continuing to inspire those around him. On September 2, 2006, Willie Ninja passed away at the age of 45 due to complications related to AIDS. His death marked the loss of a cultural pioneer whose impact reached far beyond the ballroom floor. Today, his legacy remains stronger than ever. Modern dance, fashion, and LGBTQ+ culture continue to reflect the influence of his groundbreaking work. Willie Ninja's story is one of resilience, creativity, and determination, proving that true innovation can change culture forever. Essex Hemphill. Essex Hemphill was a powerful voice whose work challenged silence and demanded recognition for communities often ignored by mainstream society. A gifted poet, performer, and cultural commentator, he used his art to explore identity, race, love, and social justice. During the 1980s and early 1990s, his words resonated deeply with audiences seeking honest conversations about issues that many preferred to avoid. Born in Chicago and raised in Washington, D.C., Hemphill developed a reputation for fearless expression. His poetry blended emotion, intellect, and personal experience in a way that captivated listeners. Through readings, publications, and performances, he became one of the most influential Black LGBTQ+ artists of his generation. His work addressed difficult realities while also celebrating resilience, dignity, and humanity. As the AIDS epidemic devastated communities across America, Hemphill emerged as a passionate advocate for awareness and understanding. Rather than remaining silent, he openly discussed the impact of the crisis on Black communities and challenged the lack of attention given to those suffering. His writing documented both the pain and courage of individuals living through one of the most difficult public health emergencies of the 20th century. Even as health challenges affected his own life, Hemphill continued creating and speaking out. His commitment to artistic honesty never wavered. Friends and colleagues admired his determination to use literature and performance as tools for education and change. On November 4, 1995, Essex Hemphill passed away at the age of 38 due to complications related to AIDS. His death represented a tremendous loss for the literary and artistic worlds, yet the ideas he championed did not disappear. Today, Essex Hemphill is remembered as a groundbreaking writer whose work continues to inspire scholars, activists, and artists. His voice remains relevant because it spoke truthfully about human experience, leaving behind a legacy that continues to challenge, educate, and inspire new generations. Marlon Riggs. Marlon Riggs dedicated his life to telling stories that many others were unwilling to tell. As an acclaimed filmmaker, writer, and activist, he used documentary filmmaking to explore race, identity, culture, and social justice in ways that sparked important national conversations. His work challenged stereotypes and encouraged audiences to confront uncomfortable truths, making him one of the most influential documentary voices of his era. Born in Texas and educated at Harvard University, Riggs combined intellectual insight with artistic creativity. His documentaries examined the experiences of Black Americans through deeply personal and thought-provoking storytelling. Films such as Ethnic Notions and Tongues Untied earned critical acclaim while also generating intense public debate. Rather than avoiding controversy, Riggs embraced it, believing that meaningful progress often begins with difficult conversations. During a period when HIV/AIDS carried tremendous stigma, Riggs chose openness over silence. He publicly discussed living with HIV and incorporated those experiences into his creative work. His willingness to share his journey helped humanize a disease that was frequently misunderstood. Through his films and public appearances, he encouraged empathy, awareness, and greater understanding. Even as his health declined, Riggs continued working with remarkable determination. Colleagues were inspired by his refusal to allow illness to define him. He remained committed to storytelling, education, and advocacy, using every opportunity to amplify voices that had historically been marginalized. On April 5, 1994, Marlon Riggs passed away at the age of 37 due to AIDS-related complications. His death came far too soon, but the impact of his work continues to be felt across generations. Today, Marlon Riggs is celebrated as a visionary filmmaker whose courage extended beyond the screen. His documentaries remain essential viewing for those seeking to understand issues of race, identity, and representation. Through his art and activism, he left behind a legacy that continues to inspire meaningful dialogue and lasting social change. Alvin Ailey. Alvin Ailey was far more than a dancer or choreographer. He was a cultural visionary who transformed American dance and created opportunities for generations of black performers. Through the founding of the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater in 1958, he introduced audiences around the world to stories rooted in African American history, spirituality, struggle, and triumph. His masterpiece, Revelations, remains one of the most celebrated dance works ever created, captivating millions with its emotional power and timeless beauty. Born in rural Texas during an era marked by racial segregation, Ailey overcame tremendous obstacles to pursue his artistic dreams. After moving to Los Angeles, he discovered dance and quickly realized its potential as a form of storytelling. His work combined modern dance, ballet, jazz, and cultural traditions into a unique style that spoke directly to the human experience. As his reputation grew, so did the influence of his company, which became an international symbol of artistic excellence. Behind the acclaim, however, Ailey carried personal burdens that few fully understood. Throughout the 1980s, he continued creating groundbreaking performances while dealing with serious health challenges. At a time when AIDS was heavily stigmatized, many public figures avoided discussing the illness openly. Ailey remained private about his condition, focusing instead on his work and the future of the company he had built. As his health declined, he continued pushing forward with remarkable determination. Colleagues admired his dedication to dance even during difficult periods. On December 1, 1989, Alvin Ailey passed away at the age of 58. Publicly, his death was attributed to a blood disorder, but it was later acknowledged that AIDS-related complications played a significant role in his passing. Although he left the world too soon, Alvin Ailey's influence remains extraordinary. His company continues to perform for audiences worldwide, carrying forward his vision of unity, hope, and artistic expression. Decades later, his legacy stands as a powerful reminder that great art can transcend generations and leave an impact that never fades. Willie Smith. Willie Smith revolutionized fashion by bringing street style into the mainstream long before it became a global trend. As the founder of the successful label Willie Wear, he challenged traditional ideas about luxury clothing and created designs that were stylish, practical, and accessible. His work appealed to a wide range of people, helping redefine American fashion during the late 1970s and 1980s. While he was not a musician himself, his influence extended deeply into entertainment, where artists, performers, and cultural icons embraced his innovative designs. Born in Philadelphia, Smith developed a passion for creativity at an early age. After studying fashion design, he quickly gained recognition for his fresh perspective and willingness to break established rules. Unlike many designers who catered exclusively to elite audiences, Smith believed great fashion should be available to everyone. His collections reflected that philosophy, blending comfort, individuality, and modern style in ways that felt revolutionary. Throughout the 1980s, Willie Wear became one of the most successful fashion brands in America. Celebrities, musicians, and trendsetters proudly wore his creations. Yet behind the professional success, Smith faced a private health battle during a period when HIV/AIDS was still poorly understood and heavily stigmatized. As his condition worsened, he continued working and expanding his creative vision. Friends and colleagues often remarked on his determination to keep creating despite increasing physical challenges. His commitment to innovation never disappeared, even as his health declined. On April 17, 1987, Willie Smith passed away at the age of 39 from complications related to AIDS. His death shocked the fashion world and ended a career that still seemed full of limitless possibilities. Tony Richardson. Tony Richardson was a respected vocalist whose smooth voice and energetic performances earned him a loyal following within the dance and house music community. During the late 1980s and 1990s, he became known for his powerful stage presence and his ability to connect with audiences through emotionally driven performances. While he never achieved the mainstream fame of some chart-topping stars, he built a reputation as a talented performer whose contributions were highly valued by fellow musicians and devoted fans alike. Richardson emerged during a period when house music was evolving from underground clubs into an international movement. The genre's infectious rhythms and uplifting spirit attracted diverse audiences, and Tony's vocals became a memorable part of that growing scene. His work reflected the energy and optimism that defined dance culture during those years, helping him earn respect throughout the industry. Behind the music, however, Tony faced challenges that mirrored those experienced by many artists of his generation. The HIV/AIDS epidemic continued to affect countless lives throughout the 1980s and 1990s. Advances in treatment helped many people live longer, but the disease remained a serious health crisis. Like many others living with HIV, Richardson confronted his illness with resilience while continuing to pursue his passion for music. In 2009, Tony Richardson passed away at the age of 51 following complications related to AIDS. His death was mourned by those who appreciated his artistry and dedication to the house music scene. Although he may not be as widely remembered as some larger commercial stars, his contributions remain meaningful to the fans and musicians whose lives he touched. Today, Tony Richardson's story serves as another reminder of the many talented artists lost during the AIDS epidemic. His legacy lives on through his recordings, his performances, and the memories of those who experienced the passion he brought to every stage he stepped onto. The stories we've explored today are more than tales of fame and tragedy. They are reminders of how fragile life can be even for those who seem larger than life. From unforgettable voices to groundbreaking innovators, these artists left behind music inspiration and lessons that still resonate today. Their struggles with HIV/AIDS unfolded during a time of fear, misunderstanding, and stigma, making their journeys even more heartbreaking. But what do you think was the most tragic story in this countdown? Which artist's legacy deserves more recognition from today's generation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more powerful stories from golden Black legends.